Hello, Paolo Ricciabiti from the Messaggero. A question for Marco Riccioni. The win was a spectacular. So what can we think about for this match, for this game? So I think that any situation, any match for the World Cup for us is crucial. Of course, going onto the field, we think that we're going to win 100%, which allows us to qualify for the next World Cup. And of course, we want to have the strong signal. We want to reflect this a very, very strong capacity, and we cannot wait to be on the field to do it, to do that. Lorenzo Calamayo. Andrea, this team has demonstrated that it really wanted to win, to change the status quo as per the most performing teams, the most famous teams. But sometimes when you have to play against a favorite team, let's say, and I'm talking about the match against Namibia, there was, let's say, a moment of psychological fragility. So I'd like to know if there has been an evolution in comparison with the Six Nations match. So, of course, all of the experiences of this team are positive experiences, or maybe less positive experiences during these 2.5 years. Allowed us to think more about our preparation, as Marco has already mentioned. Every match is played on the field. So during our game against Namibia, so we really need to say that Namibia was very present, and Ireland and Romania until the end. The score was a 19-8. So we really need to shed the light on the opponent team, to recognize that team. But this team has evolved. This team knows very well what it wants. We have prepared this match very well, and we know that there are going to be challenges to face. As per the lessons that we have retained from the past, we are going to be changing our approach. Another question. I feel that after a period during which we have worked really well on our defense, especially during the last matches of preparation for the Rugby World Cup, there was some sort of non-evolution, let's say, when we speak about this aspect. So as per that, what do you think hindered the best performances, knowing that Uruguay has had 2 tries? So in the matches against Scotland and Ireland, there were also some moments of drive, let's say. Yes, of course, when it's essential to defend, there are some challenges. And yes, there has been a try by Ireland, and afterwards Ireland has had 3 opportunities that and they did not score against Scotland. I do not remember that. There weren't any situations that allowed to score. Afterwards, yes, we had the try scored by Romania, but the team knows very well the reason behind that. Of course, every match is essential, and we need to be quite organized. And when there is a possession of the ball, it's essential to advance and to keep that ball. And we have worked during the last week on the timing in order to find find the impact and not to wait. And this is what happened. So we concentrated on that. We focused on that in order to be very well prepared. And of course, we have strategy. We have defense. We have the technical aspect as well, but also we need to have a very robust defense in order to counter the opponents to hinder their advancement. In addition to that, we had some delays and we've worked on that as well. We have another question. Hello, I wanted to ask Andrea, you're going to probably change the team as per what you did with Namibia. So what's going to change? Will the strategy change if it's going to rain, for example, as expected? Of course. The weather plays a crucial role in the game management managing tomorrow. Unfortunately, rain is expected, heavy rain even. So this is going to be important for the offense and the defense. Uruguay have a lot of dangerous, let's say, players who have the capacity to possess the game, who have the capacity to create, let's say, issues for the opposing team, and they demonstrated that during their match against France. And of course, we need to adapt to the weather, but it's not going to change our identity. We're going to play the ball. We're going to be doing it in the most appropriate way. Hello, I am from Giornale Veneti. A question for Andrea. I have read the names of the players from the Uruguayan team. 16 players, you know them already, between Padu and between. They played as well as, and then you have Arata as well who's playing. You have other players that play for the major league in the United States or even the second and third league in France. At the same time, you have one against Australia, you have one against Wales. Respecting all of the opponents of your, let's say, pathway, is Uruguay representing a challenge or a barrier? That's the first question. As per the scrum, because in Parma had some difficulties. You have seen that there were some issues, for example, with the Scrum. Okay. As per the first question, I've heard these comments about the game that we played 2 years ago, but it's from 2021. At the same time, during that period, Uruguay has evolved, and the team has prepared this World Cup differently. They have more control on their players. They have more possibilities to prepare them physically in a very optimal way. And at the same time, during these 2 years, we have evolved. Our game has evolved. and we had a fixed objectives while we started preparing for this World Cup. The past is past, and it's here, and we need to extract lessons from it. However, we prefer to concentrate on the present, and during last week's match between France and Uruguay, we saw that if we give the freedom of action to this team, it's quite a dangerous team. So their kicking game is dangerous. We know that this team is very well prepared, and we know about that. And starting with the first minute, we are going to be playing at 100%. And to finish my question, so we have this enthusiasm following Uruguay in this Rugby World Cup. So what do you think about that? And for a question for Danilo and Marco. So what do you prefer? The sunny conditions at 1 p.m. or tomorrow evening rainy with the rainy weather? So the capacity to fight is part of this sport, and of course, there their spirit is quite warm. They're Latin spirits, let's say, just like us. And we are focusing on what we have to do tomorrow. And I know that the players are going to be ready starting with the first minute. Yes, as per the weather, that was the question. So, do we prefer rain or sun? I'd rather play in the afternoon because playing with 38 degrees Celsius and a very, very hot sun is not very pleasing because you're tired very fast, and this is going to influence the game. Of course, if we need to pick between the sun and the rain, I'd rather pick the sun. No, not 38 degrees at 1 p.m. No. For me, it's the same thing. Playing a match at 1 p.m. is very, very difficult. It does not give you the perception of the match's evolution. Maybe, maybe I'd rather pick rain. Hello, everyone. A question for Danilo and Marco. Did the Uruguayan match against France surprise you? What are the strong points of the forwards that you have to control? Yes, of course. The match between France and Uruguay was quite surprising, but in a positive way. because they played very well on the attack side. So they showed us the positive points or the strong points of Uruguay, and they showed us what we need to be working on. So we really worked this week on that. So we have focused on the strong points of the Uruguayan team. We know this team already, and we cannot wait to be on the field tomorrow. Yes, I agree with Marco. We have identified players that could cause some difficulty in the defense and the attack. Even in the attack part, we have some challenges, but we prepared very well. We know how we're going to be playing, so tomorrow we're going to see. Italy is a very big team. It's one of the big teams, but it's a team that played the most against Uruguay, against Georgia, against Romania. You've giving chances to smaller countries. Everyone seems to think that World Rugby is going to launch a tournament against the bigger teams. So as a team that has given the chances to the smaller countries. So what do you think about that? The fact that small countries do not have the possibility to play against bigger countries, knowing that this is their own possibility to evolve. It's a political, let's say, situation. It's something that I cannot really comment on. But as coach, I think that any team, while playing, and the World Cup is an example of how all the teams of first, second level can demonstrate that rugby is evolving for everyone. So the level two teams, it's only a name, let's say, because when we are on the field, this does not exist. This isn't there anymore. So, and we've seen that a lot of teams have demonstrated that they can be dangerous for any opponent. So, when we have these possibilities, for example, during the winter tournaments, during the summer tournaments, or during the World Cup, because it's the same thing for Italy. So before we've entered the Six Nations, my advice would be to prepare to start, obtaining, gaining results. And this is the most important message because it means that rugby is becoming more and more important even in smaller countries, in countries that love this game, this sport, and want to make it evolve, even in countries where this is not such a well-known sport, etc. But we need to be ready. Final question, Andrea. So, knowing that there's some tension for tomorrow's match, what do you think about that? Is this going to or make the situation worse? So, what do you think? And knowing, yes, We need to adapt to the referee's decisions, but there are some things that we can control, and we have worked on that. So the meeting point, for example, and of course the referees play a crucial role because they're here to manage this phase of the game, and we need to adapt to anything that they say. Discipline is crucial. And we've seen that in the French-Uruguayan match. So not being disciplined is something negative. To win 32-33 penalty touches. So the will to adapt to this, the fact to the will to adapt to the request of the referee is something fundamental, essential. This is the work that needs to be done from the technical point of view, and from the other side, it's essential to adapt to the approach of the referee.